I'm Erin Murray. I'm the current 73 kilo world's strongest woman. I'm 28 years old and I live just outside of Seattle, Washington. We're at Dungeon Strength in Federal Way right now. Today we're going to be hitting some moderately heavy singles. We've got 105 for 8 singles. And then farmers today, we're just going to be working on grip, so some light runs and holds at the end. It's a new thing for me. So I've always just kind of push pressed my circus dumbbell. But Alec and I spent a lot of time working on our split jerk for the log. And so it's just a really natural movement for me now. So I'm just kind of mostly just experimenting to see if it works for this movement too.
How you found it so far?
I think I like it, but I haven't really gone heavy, so It's still experimental.
What's the weight of this dumbbell empty?
It's 85 empty, and we're going to go up to 105 today.
Happy with that?
Yeah. It actually that felt as easy as the first rep, so good technique day.
What's next?
So we're doing some farmers, working up to 165 a hand today. So not super heavy, but we're just going to do like a speed run down and then like a 10-second hold at the end just to work on grip endurance.
Okay. How many sets of this are you doing?
4, I believe. 4 sets.
What was it about the sport that made you fall in love with it?
Oh, I love that it was always interesting. I love that the events change every single contest. I kind of joke that it's like lifting for people with ADHD, that I could never go back to powerlifting because the same 3 lifts just felt so boring after doing a couple contests where it was different every time. And I just loved the environment of contests a lot more. I felt like powerlifting was very kind of regimented and a little bit too professional. Then I would go to Strongman contests and people would be like screaming and drinking beers back, back behind the scenes, and the environment was just really fun, and I loved the people. Like when I was in high school, I was your typical like cardio bunny because like every girl wants to be skinny. So it probably actually started more in high school. The disordered eating tendencies. It got really bad my second year of college. I joined a sorority, and I think that kind of exacerbated a lot of things. So ended up leaving school, and ever since then, it's been about 10 years since then now. And it's an ongoing process. Like it's always something that's there. But for me, lifting has become a thing where it's just more important. Mental health issues never really go away. It's just a matter of finding something else that is more important to you. So at this point in my life, being strong and winning these titles and like doing cool things in this sport is the thing that's more important to me. So that kind of keeps me grounded. At the worst of it, when I was in college and not training, when I eventually had to drop out, I remember I was counting calories and I was eating 400 calories a day, and it got to a point where like I didn't go to class for 2 weeks because I couldn't get out of bed. And then even when I started powerlifting, I really struggled for a long time with that. I would still limit myself to like 12 to 1400 calories. Like I liked the sport, but I didn't like it enough to not like to want to gain weight for it. So I still struggled through my powerlifting years with under eating, and it wasn't until I found Strongman where I was like, okay, I really want to be the best in the world at this someday. And so I've started kind of, obviously ramping up how I eat. I think I've put on 60 to 70 pounds since college, which obviously comes with eating. And for me, that came down to hiring nutrition coaches and working with people that could objectively tell me what I should be doing instead of what I felt like I should be doing, because feelings aren't always right. Yeah, I think the biggest obstacle is just choosing to do it no matter how you feel. I think no matter how much you love something, there's going to be days that you don't want to do it. And I love this sport, but especially like when it gets into prep, like there's days that I just don't want to. That's not just the training, it's the diet, and it's the making sure I get 8 hours of sleep, and the not going out with friends, because I have to get to bed, or because I have to go home and meal prep, or driving sometimes up to 2 hours to the gym because that's where the implement is that I need to train for the day. There's a lot of times that I just don't want to. But I've just reframed it in my mind of this isn't negotiable. It's like just a thing that I have to do. Like I have to pay rent and I have to brush my teeth every morning, and like these are just things that are part of my day. So my meal prep is just part of my day, and I've had to like reframe it from like these aren't always things that I do because I enjoy it in the moment. They're just things that need to be done to get to where I want to go. I really think to be the best in the world at something, you can't have anything else that's more important to you. And that might be a big statement. That might not be entirely true, but that's how I approach it, that winning this title has been the most important thing to me all year. And you know, there are obviously other things in my life that are important to me, but I've been unwavering in the things that I need to do to win this. The official Strongman Games is a 3-day contest that usually happens at the end of the year. It's open to pros and amateurs, which is really cool. So anyone can qualify for the contest. So it really, truly is the best of the best athletes in the sport. There's 9 different world titles that are handed out, and then 3 Giants Live invites. 6 events over the course of 3 days, so 2 events per day. I think this contest is particularly important because of the fact that it's open to anyone, that you truly can get the best talent, that it's not limited to invites or, you know, who has a pro card, who has access to, you know, certain locations. Like, because of the online qualifier, you really can get the best of anyone because it's accessible for anyone to attempt to qualify for it. So I feel like this contest really ends up being an opportunity to compete against truly the best. So the first event was log press. It was a 185 log for max reps in a minute. Training was actually going phenomenal for that. My max log went up by like almost 40 pounds in like the 4 months that we worked on it. For this event, there were 4 different lanes going, so 4 girls were out there at the same time. The logs were all loaded to the same weight because it was all the same class. Weight was 185. And we started behind the platform, so we started on a line back behind the log, and then when the whistle blew, we ran up to it. We only had to clean it once, and then it was just press away. So it was 1 clean, and then press, and you only had to bring it back down to your chest before starting another rep instead of going all the way back down to the ground, which is typical. Then it was max reps in a minute. So whoever had the most reps.
Kilogram category winning. All eyes are on 9 repetitions.
Erin Murray there with a good solid lift. Straight into the second rep, looking really strong in lane 1.
It's the lane 1 and 2 battle here, mate. It's the big battle, this one.
Erin and Nancy both banging out the reps here, looking very strong. Erin still going. Gets a good lockout, just resets to the floor, get the air back. Nancy still hasn't put that log down.
We could see double figures here. This could be double figures.
Oh, and I just say it, and there the log goes down.
Commentator's curse.
Always. There's another rep there for Erin. Another fantastic performance there.
That was.
And look at the war paint.
Exactly that.
I did fine. I tied for first, which, you know, that's not something to complain about. Me, Jody Kennedy, and Nancy Johnson were all tied for first with 9 reps. If I remember correctly, the next best, I think, was 3 or 4 reps, so we were all pretty far ahead of the pack. And we were all fighting for that 10th rep for first, but none of us quite got it, so we had to share the points. Event 2 was the car walk. Again, it was 4 lanes, so 4 girls going at the same time, carrying a Volkswagen Beetle that was kind of fixed to a yoke apparatus weighing 575 pounds. It just felt like a quintessential badass strongman, like lifting heavy, weird shit. And I love yoke already, so for me it was already an event that I was looking forward to, and just carrying a car on your back feels really cool. And the event mostly went really well. It felt really awesome the first 90% of the run. That last couple feet really threw me for a loop, but ultimately just happy to have finished it.
Erin Murray in lane 3 and Nancy Johnson in lane 4. Don't move a muscle.
Jody and Erin there in the middle. Erin absolutely flying, but Jody is staying with her, and as we saw in the last thing, almost catching up towards the end. This is going to be a photo finish, just knocks the tyre at the end there, possibly costing the first place. We may need a photo finish for that. But we have Jody Kennedy and Erin Murray absolutely flying through that course.
And just a word for Beach at the end there. had a bit of a disaster very early into that race, and the tenacity to carry on as she did, that's somebody who really wants to go far in this competition.
So that event actually went almost really well for me. It started out really well. About 10 feet from the end of the run, my knee buckled. So if you've seen the video of it, you'll see that the car kind of like suddenly veers off to the left towards the end. Really came close to dropping it, so that just kind of became a don't drop it at the end. Didn't quite get the time that I wanted, but I still squeaked out second place even with the mishap. After event 2 would have put me in second place because Jody beat me at that event. We tied for first on the log, so I was behind Jody. I don't remember who was in third after the car walk, but I think I was behind by a point after that. So day 2, event 3 was the deadlift ladder. It was 5 deadlifts. The first one was 365, and then the last one ended at 530. Training for that one went really, really well. I pulled the whole ladder in under a minute in training 2 weeks before the show, 2 or 3 weeks before the show. Felt really good. Was really looking forward to that event. It did end on a mammoth bar, so the first 4 bars were just a typical deadlift bar. The last one was the mammoth, which felt really different. I've never pulled on one of those before. The actual event happened.
And she has gone into first place. Sandbag is our current leader.
Yes.
But we have 3 very impressive athletes yet to go. Wharncliffe, Murray and Kennedy. Here we go. Easy pull on bar number 1 for all 3 ladies.
These are your top 3.
Look at this. Kennedy and Murray are in an absolute battle between each other here. Oh! Kennedy sneaking into the lead. She's on to this last bar. She's been absolutely rapid through 4.
She hasn't put the straps on. Not there.
Leaving it there. She was very fast through 4. Could well be enough. Can Murray get this 5th?
Oh!
I ended up again with another second place on that event though. I did mess up a little bit at the end. I got the first 4 bars very quickly. And then I just made a mistake. I was supposed to take a break before the last bar. I saw that Jody was ahead of me and I freaked out and I went straight into it and tried to pull it without the planned break. And I just couldn't get it past my knees. I got the 5th bar just underneath my knees and couldn't finish the lift. At that point, after the 3rd event, I was 2 points behind Jody, sitting in 2nd place, and then I believe Bobby was in 3rd, 7 points behind that. Day 2, event 4 was the death medley. There were 2 implements that we had to carry down, so there was a 175-pound sandbag and a 200-pound Husafel that started on one line. We had to carry each one down individually to load it into a sled that I believe was 400 pounds empty. So carry the sandbag down 50 feet, put it in the sled, run back for the Husafel, pick that up, carry it down, put it in the sled, and then there was a handle that we had to sled drag that back to the start line.
So it's the under 73 kilogram category. The effort that gets put into this is unbelievable. The athletes just leave it all out there. Lactic acid coursing through their tear ducts by the end of this.
It's a brutal event. Actually, there are a combination of events that I think Lynn and Erin Molan, the promoters here, have put together are a particularly nice variation, a nice series of tests. A lot of the guys are airing the same thought out the back who I was chatting to. You know, you've got your deadlift, but the ladder allows you to go very heavy. You've got the log, and it was chosen to be heavy. This has been a bit of a tortoise and the hare scenario here. Descheny and Sandbag charging off ahead, but it's now Sandbag who's maybe in the lead. It's touch and go here. Murray's very tight as well. Murray's probably just about, no, it's Sandbag for sure coming towards the line here, Radzi. If anyone slips though, it could be a swap around. Sandbag falls over the line. Murray pulls it through for 2nd place, and then Descheny, just the last one to go. Kennedy managed to get it over the line there. A 52.98 was the time to beat by Hogg. I think we may well have a new leader, actually. Certainly what Aaron West announced there, he thought it was the best time so far.
At that point, we were going into day 3. Me and Jody tied for first. My second place in that event, I think I finished 3 seconds ahead of her, so the one person that was in between me and Jody really helped out to spread some points. So going into day 3, me and Jody were tied, and then Bobby was in third still, I think 6 points behind. Day 3, event 5, was the sandbag toss. I think it started at 20 pounds and then went up in increments to 35 pounds on the 6th bag. This was an event that training was going pretty well for. It's not my favorite event, but it had been going pretty well. I expected to do well at it. Unfortunately, this was another event where I kind of just made a mistake at the end, similar to the deadlifts, which I did not learn, obviously. I got the first 5 bags over pretty easily. Had planned on taking a break before the last bag, but they actually changed the weights on us slightly, which kind of threw off mentally what I had planned to do versus what I thought I could do. And I thought wrong, so I tried to go straight into the last bag without a break. Ended up missing a couple times, did get it over on my 3rd throw though, which was still good enough for a 3rd place in the event.
So the big question is how Jody Kennedy and Erin Murray do. These are our 2 leaders. 36 points each going into this event. Jody Kennedy versus Erin Murray, our 2 leaders after 4 events. They've really dominated, and my goodness, how easy were those first 2 throws for both athletes.
They're sharing points, they're also sharing the bags.
Oh, just a slight mistake there.
Kennedy making the first mistake. Murray making the second mistake.
Oh! And both of them, as powerful as they are, maybe pressure starting to get to them. Murray gets all 6 over.
Kennedy needs this. She needs this a lot.
And she gets it. Well done.
Jody and I were equal points going into this event, so I knew that I had to beat her at it. I was just focusing on finishing the run. I knew that that was going to be the most important thing, that not finishing the run wasn't an option. So when that first miss with the last bag was kind of terrifying. Naturally, I really expected it to go over because I've never missed that weight bag in training. So there's a little bit moment of freak out, but it also, the weight didn't feel heavy. The form and the projectile of it was off, but I also knew that the bag was something that I could throw. So obviously super frustrating to miss the first 2 times, but I never at any point in those throws thought that it wasn't something I was capable of, so it was just a matter of staying calm. It actually ended up being pretty cool because I do a lot of visualizing before shows, and I kind of try to visualize every possible scenario, but the one that played on repeat the most in my head was stones coming down to a tie, coming down to, in my daydreams of it, it was actually usually me and Jody, coming down to a tie, coming down to the last stone, and loading it barely first. Like in my daydreams of the dramatic photo finish, that's kind of how it lived in my brain already before the show. So the fact that that's actually what happened ended up being kind of exciting.
1 point separating Erin and Jody. Erin leads Jody, both represent the USA, both fantastic performances in 5 of the events. Who will come out on top here? And just remember, if it ends overall in a tie, countback will be on stones.
On the whistle.
Our top 2 athletes from the under 73 kilo class this weekend. They've been incredible. They've battled hard between each other. Who can get the win? It's going to come down to whoever is the quickest on these stones. Murray versus Kennedy. Kennedy just a fraction ahead.
Kennedy's efficient. No wasted energy here whatsoever.
She'll know she's slightly ahead as well. She'll feel the pressure.
And Kennedy's behind by 1 point. Don't forget, Kennedy's the one in second place. They're almost neck and neck.
Oh! A mistake there by Kennedy. Murray has this lap. She just needs to load it. And can she push it on? She does. She wins. Kennedy almost snuck the win, but Murray composed, calm. She does what she needs to do.
Yeah, so on the last stone, she got there first. I don't know exactly what happened. I kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye, but she went to pick it and she dropped it the first time, which gave me the gap that I needed to get it just barely first. I think she finished the run less than a second after I did. I did see her drop it out of the corner of my eye. Really tried to not let that make me rush, because I was just like, okay, like now I have time to actually do this well. So I knew as soon as I got it into my lap and I could see out of the corner of my eye that it wasn't in her lap, at that point I knew that I had won it. So I got the stone up, I looked over, really just saw that hers wasn't on the platform yet, and then I just started running. Like at that point I didn't even know if she got the stone up. I just kind of blacked out and ran away. Winning OSG is by far my biggest achievement in this sport. This has kind of been what I've had my sights set on for years. I've obviously done other shows, but winning this title is just really validating that all the work has been worth it. I've been lifting competitively for almost a decade now. I've put in my time, and it's really validating that it was all worth it. Standing on the podium and accepting the trophy is just like, you just felt on top of the world. Like it's a weird feeling to have worked for something for so long and then finally get it. Like it's a mixture of obviously being incredibly proud and excited, and then also like, okay, now what? Like it's an exciting now what, but it's also a little bit of a like, oh shit, like can only go down from here. But that's not gonna happen. I'm Erin Murray, the world's strongest woman.